Hey guys, this is Ocean9186 here with the patch notes for the patch for Escape from Tarkov that just happened last night. This morning is patch 1.0.4.5, and so here we go. We will get through this quickly. Changes, there are improvements aimed at optimizing off-raid screens. Increase the FPS limit in menus and add an option to adjust it in the game settings. Several changes to the animation system and audio engine to improve PC resource usage. Reworked the architecture of post-raid systems to further reduce the time required to exit or rotate a raid and return to the menu. As part of optimization efforts, an updated player culling system has been implemented on Lighthouse, Shoreline Woods, and Ground Zero. The system will be introduced to the remaining locations in future updates. So let's go through this quick before we keep going on. So all of this stuff here, they're all trying to get it so that it's quicker menu optimization, so you can get in and out of raids faster. And they're trying to reduce loading times, since notoriously in the past they have been long. I think they've been doing pretty good with this as of late and recently, so I think this is also a good idea here. They're doing good on all that. Now, as part of the optimization efforts, an updated player culling system on these maps. Now, I wasn't aware that they weren't on these maps yet. I think the updated player culling system, not only is it going to add to your ability to run smoothly and stuff like that, I think these are low-key kind of efforts to help with some of the wall hacking and stuff like that too, because essentially what it is you're not loading other people until you see them. So if somebody's behind a wall, your system should not be loading them, any of their information, none of that. So I know it kind of sounds counterintuitive, and it might leave gaps for, bugs and stuff like that to happen. But I think nowadays we're living in a technological age that's well enough to actually handle doing stuff like this on the level and grade that they're doing it. So I think that's a pretty smart idea. So we're going to check out on my streams actually Lighthouse, Shoreline Woods, and Ground Zero to see how well it actually all works here in the next week. So as we continue, implemented an iteration of environment, object, and geometry optimization for Streets of Tarkov to improve location performance. So they're actually finally working on streets again. It's basically what this is saying. Please note that the impact of these changes will depend on your PC configuration and in-game settings. So you'll might go tweak your settings a little bit, see if you get any better settings. I'm going to assume this is also kind of a note saying, hey, if you have the Streets of Tarkov setting that you can decide to have it low texture mode, these changes might not apply to you as much. Introduce a task progression protection system in local PvE zone raids in case of unexpected client shutdowns. If the game closes unexpectedly, task progress will now revert to the state of this at the start of the raid. I'm not exactly sure what the difference in this and what was already there before. I don't play PvE that much, to be completely honest with you. Sounds like they're just trying to keep your progression the same as whenever you went in a raid. If for some reason your PC shuts off, game closes, whatever. Updated the left shoulder firing stance logic. Switching to the right shoulder will no longer happen instantly when colliding with obstacles. Instead, the weapon will continue moving for a short period without changing stance. I love this actually, because then actually whenever you're going to go up against a wall with your shoulder swapped, you're not going to be doing that thing where you go back and you got to go back and forth between which shoulder was I on. I hated when that would happen, and I am the kind of guy that likes to switch shoulders, because that's just how I like to play. I know it's somewhat counterintuitive, but for me, I feel like it's become so natural for me. I love doing it, and this is a very good update that I like to see. Updated the KD display and character stats. It now counts player kills only. That is also really good. So now you're going to be seeing the true PvP KD, which is something people have been asking for a long time, and you always wonder when you see somebody with a 23 KD, how many of those are actually PMCs and how many aren't. So it was unreliable to go based off just their KD and character stats alone to see if, maybe they were legit or not. Now you're going to know. You're going to definitely know how many kills they're getting on players and how legit they really seem. So that's nice too. Balancing changes. With this update, we introduced the second stage of weapon mod adjustments, focusing on barrels and handguards. Muzzle devices and stocks were further adjusted based on the first iteration. So they're just adding some changes to all of the attachments over time, and how ergonomics is counted and how recoil is counted. It used to be counted in a much larger number, and now I think they've added percentages and stuff like that to kind of simplify, but somewhat also complicating it more, I would say. But it was fine the way it was before, but I think they're just doing it because it's something they thought that could optimize people's experience. And there is a lot of new players with the grouping with Steam now being able to buy Escape from Tarkov on Steam. There is a large mass of new players now, so now is as good a time as any, I suppose. Barrels follow the same principle as before. Longer barrels provide greater recoil reduction but impose higher ergonomics penalties, which is obvious. Changes were made to standardize parameters and make them clearer, and make the choice between short and long barrels more meaningful. I thought it was pretty meaningful before. It was like a good whole 12 ergonomics or something between some of them. But they're doing this, and that's what they want to do. The handguards no longer reduce recoil. That's gonna be something that's gonna affect your builds, and now that's happening now. You're gonna now have to change your builds up a little bit to focus your efforts in different directions depending on what you want for your build. Ergonomics, recoil, balanced, all that. You're gonna have to start using different attachments to achieve the same results. Muzzle devices were further refined following the first iteration. Suppressors and their combinations with compensators now reduce ergonomics more and affect recoil less. So they're changing it so that compensators are not affecting ergonomics as much, and they're not affecting recoil as much, because they want, here, I'll show you down here. These changes are intended to further increase the popularity of unsuppressed weapon builds. Adjustments to muzzle flashes are planned for future updates. So they're trying to get rid of the meta, kind of how Rust recently did a couple months back, doing the change in how you make workbenches, tier 2 and tier 3 and all that stuff. They're trying to change the meta because they're trying to keep people interested, obviously, and they're trying to make it so that it's easier for a bunch of newbies to get in from Steam and actually come play this game, which, I mean, it makes sense. Now is as good a time as any. The meta does get old over time. Butt stocks received minor adjustments, mainly addressing inaccuracies and issues from the first iteration. So not much change on them. Just fixing some stuff that they didn't mean to do in the last one and stuff like that. Base characteristics of many weapons have been updated to better align with the new balance. Recoil and ergonomics have been improved for the following. I am not going to read this whole list, but this is here available for you to see in their Twitch X post. Kids are calling it X nowadays. Maybe I'll add it to the comments as well. Fixes. Fixed an issue where dead players and bots could appear to move visually in certain cases. I have had this happen to me, actually, and it was the most confusing thing in my life because some player scav came up and started looting a guy that was standing in place for me on my screen, and yeah, it bugged me because I wanted his stuff and I couldn't get it because he's up standing on my screen, but he's dead laying on the ground on somebody else's. Fix an issue where damage would not register after a weapon malfunction if the player had previously used a stationary weapon. I don't even know about this. Some of these, it's like, I don't know who found this stuff, but they must be just playing too much or they play too much. I don't know. Pick one. Fix the cause of error 228 during trader dialogues that could block task progression. They've had issues with task progression in the new trader dialogue system for a while. Fixes to culling, shadow, textures, and location geometry. It's just typical fixes. Fix an issue where armor cannot be picked up if it was dropped while interacting with the modification window. News to me. Fix the incorrect behavior of PMC bots toward player scavs with fence reputation 6 or higher in the PvE zone. So, not sure what that means. Maybe PMC bots weren't attacking player scavs with fence rep 6 or higher. Like I said, I don't play PvE. Ask a PvEer. Fixed an issue preventing further progression in the labyrinth after spawning in the room requiring a burner tool to exit. News to me. I'm sure it bothered some of the sweats. Fix the incorrect display of smoke grenades in the player's hands if another player threw a smoke grenade at them. If this happened to you, it won't anymore. Fix the display of changes in the combat skill leveling boost field in the Hall of Fame hideout zone when one dog tag was replaced with another of similar level. I don't know. If it happens to you, it won't anymore. Fix an issue where post-effect settings would not display when preview was enabled. Yeah. So that's good. That's pretty self-explanatory. Fixed an issue where some players could get stuck in the secret safe room on interchange without a way to exit. Now that would suck. That would suck. I'd be pretty pissed. Think their insurance still came back? Probably. Fix the incorrect display of stationary weapons used by bots in multiple cases where bots could float while using them. Why do the bots get all the good bugs? Bots always get all the good cheats, dude. Fix multiple issues with incorrect behavior of loot and gear items when dropped in raid. Self-explanatory random mumbo jumbo. But basically the rest of this is. Fix the display of current movement noise level and stance height during raids. Fix the third person animation for inspecting your own inventory. I still don't know what they mean by third person. I don't know if there shouldn't be anything third person in this game. So maybe they're talking about other people's perspective of you. That's what I assume they mean. So I've never heard of anything third person in this game. If there is something, leave it in the comments. Something I don't know about. But yeah, that's the patch 1.0.4.5 notes. And I will definitely put some videos up this week going over the implementation of the culling on Lighthouse, Shoreline Woods, and Ground Zero and see how it goes. So thanks for coming in to watch. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and thanks for coming in and viewing on the channel and supporting. Like, comment, and subscribe is grateful, and catch you next time.